Yeah, it is kind of like nerve-wracking that haven't done this in a while. I feel kind of scared. Alrighty. Hey everybody, welcome to Picture This Film Reviews. Wow, that feels weird to say. My name is Matt, and with me is
I am Dan.
oh, we couldn't have Picture This without Dan. Um, guys, it's been a long time. We started Picture This Film Reviews. Oh gosh, was it 2021?
I think
I
you're
think
about correct.
without grabbing my phone while we're live recording, I think it was 2021 or something. And through those years and through those episodes, we started as a group and we shrunk down to a duo, who's sometime a trio. And it's just been a fun, wild ride. We put a pause on Picture This. We actually, I know I personally thought we'd never come back to this again, but I'm glad that we're here. And in between there was some other things. There was the 1001 movies and the nightmares and scares and some short-lived projects, but this is the OG. This is the Picture This that hopefully you guys remember, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we're trying to bring that back, some of that nostalgia back. If all these other TV shows and movies can come back with sequels and reboots and requels all these years later, then so can we, darn it. Dan, how have you been?
I have been really good, and like you said, it's definitely strange, especially when you say, "Well, yeah, we're going back to picture this movie reviews." I'll be honest with you guys. You could go anywhere on the internet and you could watch random people give reviews about movies and things. So if you are watching this, especially if you were one of the ones that started with us in the trail as we were working our way up slowly to 1,000 viewers, definitely appreciate you and hope you'll stick with us a little bit longer. But we're just two normal guys. Occasionally, like Matt said, my wife might pop in here or there. Not 100% sure, but overall, we've had, Wyatt, we've had Seth. I think those are the two main
Those are
ones
the
that we've
main two.
had.
We had Seth's dad, and did we have Seth's mom at one
Yeah,
point?
she popped in a couple
Yeah.
times, but big shout out to them because we wouldn't be here today without you and without them. And if you're new to us, yeah, it's just it. We're random guys that like to go see movies, and then we like to talk about them. I know Matt's had a lot of things going on here lately, and one of them is featured prominently in his background, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of information on that. But Mr. Matt, what's going on with you? What have you been up to?
Well, since we last did Picture This, I moved to Arkansas for a month. I came back to Maryland, where we are from, and then I yeah, Maryland, my Maryland, and then was kind of hanging out for a while with some relatives, and now I am have purchased my own home. It was been a literally a lifelong goal of mine to own a home. So you're looking at it. This is the office in my home. This is my nerd office. I got posters and movie crap everywhere, autographs. One thing that Dan was referring to, I'm not sure if it was either the house or if it was the poster kind of right back here where I'm pointing, is Hyde. I don't know if we had started Hyde when we were doing Picture This, but we definitely talked about it on other things, other projects that we did after that. Um, I made a movie. It made sense. I love movies. We talk about movies. Why not make a movie? This isn't my first movie that I've ever made, but this is definitely my first professional, legitimate movie. This isn't just me and some friends making a movie, although I think of all of those people now as friends. But most 99.9% of them I did not know before we started. So we've been taking the last year and a half making Hyde, which is a modern day retelling of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's going to be a dramatic thriller, suspenseful type movie. Really kind of a callback to the the '90s thrillers that I grew up watching. I think there's a lot of that in there. And yeah, just kind of dealing with that and dealing with the house and with work, outside of this, I gotta we both have our normal day jobs and just and then of course going to the movies. Hey, say or brought that full circle. uh yeah, so we've been going to the movies, and that's why we're here. We're here to talk about some of the movies we've watched so far this year. One specific, I think, that has stood out to both of us came out a little bit ago, but so we're just a little behind on this. But hey, you've watched all the other reviews. Why not get our opinion? Because I mean, that's really the opinion you were waiting on, right? Um, so Dan, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about Sinners, off the top of the menu, and starring Michael B. Jordan, which I know my wife is a huge, huge fan of. Honestly, she wants to go back and watch it again if you can guess what her opinion of the movie might be. But um, was off the top. I'm just like going back in my little Rolodex of memories. I don't remember the advertisements for Sinners. I don't. I
No,
don't.
me neither.
And then it dropped, and then when we were watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is I don't know how much spoilers we want to get into, but
I think at this point,
let's
if you
roll,
haven't
right?
seen it, you're not going to see it. But let's go full spoilers, and this is everyone's warning now. So full spoilers. If you have not seen Sinners, then please turn us off. Come back after you've watched it.
But I mean, we're getting into the horror genre, and one of my all-time favorites, if you do remember watching when we were doing the Nightmares and Scares, especially vampires. Vampires were a very big and interesting thing to me. Some of my all-time favorite movies are vampire films, and ultimately, I guess we'll get into that in just a second about where we thought. But Matt, just going back in your memory, I mean prominently, I know you said you didn't remember any advertisements. Were there any things that stood out to you, like director wise? I know you're, a big movie director now and are about to be premiering. Who was the director on this?
This is Ryan Coogler. Am I saying that?
So,
Yeah,
yeah, from Black Panther
from Black
and
Panther and Creed, and
mhm.
he's worked with Michael B. Jordan a ton. Um, yeah, so you're lucky I knew that off the spot because I wasn't prepared for that question. I was like, Ryan Coogler?
I'm gonna push a lot of directorial things on you. And one thing I will say or point out from before. I have taken an understanding movies class, so hopefully some of what I do say is a little more educated than I may have said in the past. But definitely looking forward to getting to that to you. But yeah, Matt, what were the big highlights that stood out with you? What were some things that you were looking for? What did you expect, not expect? Why don't you give us your opinion?
So yeah, just initial thoughts, like you said, or like I agreed with. I don't remember seeing any advertisements or trailers. I think I did see one trailer before some movie that I went and saw in the theater, which I couldn't tell you which movie that was, but I remember seeing like one trailer and thinking, oh, it's some sort of I think the trailer revealed it was some sort of vampire movie. I think if I'm but I think I only saw it the one time. And so I knew very little. And I went and saw it, funny enough, opening weekend, but I didn't go first day. And I think just in those first like day and a half, 'cause usually everyone says movies comes out like the Friday comes out Friday, but the movies haven't come out on Friday in years now. Everybody knows the movies come out Thursday night. So like between Thursday night and Friday, I had heard so much talk about it online that by Saturday, opening weekend, I was like, okay, let me go check this out. It's a vampire horror flick. So I kind of knew what I was getting into, but knew literally nothing. I didn't look up the story. I didn't rewatch the trailer. I went in almost as blind as you can go without actually going in blind. Um, and I enjoy Michael B. Jordan's performances in other films. He's not really a standout for me. He's just kind of there. I know that might upset some people, but it's not not to be negative at all. He's never been one that's like, oh, Michael B. Jordan, I got to go see whatever he's in. He's just kind of existed in my world. And I, being a big Rocky fan, I was the Creed is where I first he first caught my attention. So to me, he'll always be, Creed. But I went into this and, I while watching it very early on, I was like, oh, they're doing From Dusk Till Dawn. And I think there's a lot of From Dusk Till Dawn similarities, but as the movie kept going, it felt, yeah, it kept that From Dusk Till Dawn vibe, but then started doing something a lot different with it, and better, may I say. I love From Dusk Till Dawn. It's probably one of my favorite George Clooney movies that he's been in. But so at first, what at my first, first few, I don't know, the first half hour of the movie, I was thinking, oh, they're doing From Dusk Till Dawn. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to like this or not because, I'm not a huge fan. Says the guy that's literally making a remake. I'm not a huge fan of remakes and reboots. But it's not that. It's so far from a remake or a reboot of From Dusk Till Dawn. It really has nothing to do with each other. They really don't, other than there's a crowd of people in like a bar type setting, and then vampires come out at night. Those are the similarities, and that's kind of where it ends. And as it started becoming its own film, and I started to see that, you get invested in the characters and the story going on, and it won me over. Long story short, just initial thoughts, it won me over. You're muted, sir.
It would help, it's going to
He
take me a
went to the
while to get back
class,
in the
but he
swing of
didn't learn how to
things.
take. He went to the class, but he didn't learn how to take himself off mute.
A lot of typing, not a lot of video work. But overall, I will say I agree with Matt. It definitely builds the story, and I think I've really grown to appreciate movies that not only focus on the main characters, but also where the film takes place. And this film does take a lot of time to develop one, the time period that's taking place, racial tensions that are ongoing. It spells out for you the dynamics of this town where this all takes place, the interaction between all the people. It gives you the romances, the backgrounds, lost births, a lot of cultural significance in music. I mean, there's so much that went into this, and I know Kayla would definitely, beat me for not saying this. She thinks Michael Jordan's hot. That's the main reason she wanted to go see this. Michael B. Jordan. I have to clarify. Michael B. Jordan's hot. Um, so that's why she wanted to go see it. But again, I'm a full fan of horror movies. In the beginning, while sitting again, I wasn't really sure what I was getting into. So shame on me for not doing the research going in. But man, what they put in front of me on the screen was way better than I had anticipated. I did not know what I'd be walking into, and when I left that theater, it's very rare when I come out. It's like, man, you could see what they were doing here. You could see what they were doing there. I think they did a really good job building the characters out, making you care about them, and kind of wondering the direction. And before we get into the main meat of the review, I think they've also, to a degree, have reinvented the modern vampire. And we'll get into that a little bit. So, Matt, what were the standout parts of the movie? What were your favorite moments? What things really stood out to you?
um, Favorite parts, the standouts. I mean, the acting. All of the acting was phenomenal. I don't think there was a bad performance. Um, my favorite was the character Slim, played by Delroy Lindo, who has is a character actor that's been in many, many, many things. But he to me, I could watch a whole movie with just that Slim character. Like, and the sad thing is, and again, spoilers. Sad thing is, I knew he was going to die eventually, but I didn't want him to. I was like, no. Um, Miles Caton, hopefully I'm saying that right, who plays Sammy, basically our lead aside from Michael B. Jordan. Uh, what a voice. what a set of pipes on that guy. Not only just singing, but then also just his speaking voice is like phenomenal. It's just he doesn't sound. I don't mean he just doesn't sound like what you would expect him to sound. He has this very young looking face, but then he out of him comes this lion of a voice, and it's just like whoa. And then when he sings, oh, which brings me to the other thing I loved, the music. The music is phenomenal. You know, you're in the theater, you're kind of bumping back and forth, or at least I was, or tapping your foot or moving your leg to the music. This was up my alley in every way that I wanted it to be without knowing that I wanted it to be. Um, and then, Michael B. Jordan, I talked about the acting. Michael B. Jordan was great here, playing two roles, which I didn't know. That was a thing I went into completely unaware. Had no idea he was playing twins in this film. He plays Smoke and Stack, and I think he did a fantastic job separating the two. Where, I mean, obviously they wore different clothes, so they didn't make it hard. But I think they did a decent enough job, and he did a decent enough job where I never questioned which one is he supposed to be here. Like it was the acting was there. How about you, sir?
Overall, I think my favorite character out of the whole movie was probably Smoke. He was definitely to me the grittier and the harder of the two brothers, but I do appreciate that Stack was definitely lighter in personality and kind of balanced him out a lot. I felt like his relationship with the cousin definitely kind of brought that or balanced it out a little bit. Oh, um, but overall, balancing out the dynamic there, I feel one thing that was interesting to me was they made the vampire Irish. And in the very start of it, they introduced him as coming up into this farmhouse in the middle of a field, which they tied in later in the movie to be members of a notorious organization, a racist organization, the Ku Klux Klan. And he was being chased by, it looked like tribal Indians that were in almost like vampire hunter gear. And I almost was, or would have been interested to seeing them again. Like, show me that part of the movie because that looked
Right.
like something to dive into. But overall, the vampire gets in, he gets invited in, which they kept that trope alive. And that was like a main aspect or a focal point with that and all of his interactions. So the things that I found interesting were as the movie progressed, your vampire changed a little bit, and one of the things that was said was that even if the vampire, like the one that turned them, the sire, is killed, they can go and live on. Which you kind of forget that aspect of the movie, and it's not necessarily even 100% true, because we do see towards the end, and maybe it's because the sun was coming up that they all burned at the same time. But one thing I thought was interesting was the vampires had more of a hive mind mentality, except for when we see certain deaths, it kind of breaks some of the characters out of that loop, and they're like, "Oh no, why'd you do that?" And in the end, again, spoilers, you have to sit through all of the credits to see it, but Stack ends up being spared by Smoke on the condition that he does not kill Sammy. So they end up going off, him and his girlfriend, or I guess on again girlfriend, go off, no longer under the influence of the main vampire. So after the main vampire is killed, everyone who's left around, including Cornbread, who I thought was absolutely hilarious, especially when he came to get his money back at the front door, they're all left to perish and burn up. So they did stick with a lot of the familiar tropes of vampires, but the fact that one, it was a soul stuck in the body that couldn't get out. The fact that they acted like a hive mind, like did they all know how to play instruments just off the top, or was that just because of the main vampire's mentality? And then also the fact that they're able to live beyond even when their sires are eliminated. I thought were very interesting, but I thought it had the right amount of violence, but they really, again, they spent so much time building up the characters, looking into their lives, what was important to them, especially Sammy with music, and that was like a main theme and main driver throughout. So I agree with you. Music played such an instrumental part, especially the one scene where he's playing. And then you have generation upon generation upon generation of different musics, and they made this a key point, and why the vampires found them to begin with is that you're able to reach beyond the veil of life and death. And that's what he was doing. He's being danced around. Everybody is, coming together. And then the vampire can see that through the walls of this building and be like, oh, and that's why they went after them. So it was an interesting aspect. Great cast, as you said, top to bottom. I don't think from main characters, minor characters, that there was a bad pick in that whole lineup. And just such a beautifully told. It's weird for me to say that during a vampire film, a beautifully told vampire film. I really, really enjoyed it. So I guess that comes down to, I know we're talking about a couple different movies today. Where does this fall on Matt's appreciation of movie meter? I know we haven't talked about the scaling in a while. Typically, I believe we do 1 to 5. If you want to stick with the 1 to 5, I know it's in line with your letterboxed. Well, oh, and also your potty breaks. How many times did you have to use the potty, or was this the right length of time to use the bathroom?
I think the runtime is 138 minutes, which is just over 2 hours. And I got to tell you, it didn't feel like 2 hours. It was an easy watch. I never found myself thinking, oh, when is this going to be over? It grabs you almost from the very beginning. Well, it does from the very beginning, like when he's running, being chased and almost immediately, and it never really lets you go. You're thrown into this world, and you're immediately in there. Potty breaks, none. I think we say that 90 minute, hour and a half is kind of the sweet spot. But when you can pull off a 2 hour movie and not make it feel like 2 hours, then you're doing something right. Um, one other thing I want to mention before I give my rating, you mentioned the post credit scene. When the movie ended and the credits started to roll, I thought I had just seen a very, very good movie. But then the mid credit scene kind of elevated it to absolute greatness for me, and fully completed that emotional arc. Um, for the whole movie. So I loved it. Yeah, thank you for shouting out Letterboxd. If you're a fan, if you have a Letterboxd, this is a cheap plug. Follow me on Letterboxd at Matthew Winstead, and I give this a 5 out of 5 for me right now. This is movie of the year. I don't know that I can't say that nothing's going to touch it for the rest of the year. We've got Mission Impossible coming out. We've got Superman coming out. These are all things that I'm very much into and very much looking forward to. I'm already hearing early reviews of Mission Impossible that are it's phenomenal. So I'm excited to see those. But right now, Sinners is number one, and I'm excited to see what, if anything, can knock it off. How about you, Dan? Where are you with it?
I mean, historically, Matt and I sometimes were like right there with each other. And we were like right on top of each other as far as the ratings go. Other times we're way completely, totally off the mark. Horror is one of the ones that Matt and I disagree on, probably the most out of anything. I enjoy like a newer, maybe sometimes sarcastic vibe type horror story. I'm really into things like Abigail. Megan is great to me. Ready or Not is a great movie, in my opinion.
And in my
Matt,
opinion, those are just okay movies.
yeah, Matt is more into the old school slasher film, or let's say 80s, 90s basics, like where you build the fundamental knowledge of your monster things on. So I was definitely interested to see where Matt fell on this. And surprisingly, Matt and I agree 100% on this. I do think that this is probably one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And I know that probably gives it away about the next movie we're going to be talking about just a bit. But I love vampire movies. Michael B. Jordan was phenomenal. The fact that, as you said in your review, they was able to pull off two characters and give them both a voice and a life. I think they did a really good job. And as you said on the ending, it's one of those moments where it's Stack sitting at the counter. He's like, "Hey, play me like one of the songs like you used to play, like that real stuff, not that electronic or whatever stuff." And they start reminiscing about what did he say? It's like, is it a great day or was it the best day? I can't remember the exact verbiage, but he's like, yeah, it was the last day I saw my brother, and it was a great day. And there was something in that that just kind of grabs you and brings you just 100% into it. And you're not only looking at a vampire who's living out, now decades at the age that he was, but also the man that was family and looking back on his life, reminiscing about these times, having come up as a musical legend in his own right. But really well done and phenomenal. 5 out of 5, right there with you, Matthew.
Well, that I think about does it for our Sinners review. Again, like I said at the top of the show, I know we're a little late to the game on this, but hey, Picture This Film Reviews is back, baby, and we're going to be on top of things. Dan has grown a lot as a film, and I don't know what you want to call yourself, film enthusiast, film master,
Voyeur, just
but
a watcher.
and I think I've grown in that I've found myself being a lot harsher on things. Um, so I say that
Is that possible? Is that
after I'm
even
giving out
possible?
I know as I'm giving out fives, perfect movies, on our first episode back. But I think I feel at least I feel like I used to be very positive towards a lot of things, and now I'm looking at it with a lot more of a sharper eye and being like, am I going to remember this in 6 months? Probably not. So like, but Sinners, absolutely. Sinners holds true, and like I said, one of the best of the year so far. So that is all. Any closing words, Dan?
Just as always, thank you for tuning in with us. It's a pleasure to sit here and talk about movies with you. One thing I used to say a lot, I'm probably going to get into again, is that if you would like to, we always enjoy the conversations. Reach out, comment on the videos. I know Matt has revamped or re-upped the social media for the picture of this. So we love engagement. If there's something you're excited about seeing coming up, let us know. If there's something that's been out that you'd like us to talk about, let us know. We sometimes do anniversary episodes. It doesn't have to be a brand new movie, but I think that's probably where a lot of our focus is going to be, especially like with Jurassic World coming out here soon. Matt already mentioned the Mission Impossible, but there's no shortage of content, and we'd like to watch some movies with you. So why don't you come watch them with us?
Love that. We'd like to watch some movies with you. I love that. Yeah, we definitely so follow us. If this is your first time watching, welcome. Thank you so much. If you're tuning back in and you're an original follower slash viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Follow us on YouTube, which hopefully you already are if you're watching this. If not, hit that subscribe button right youtube.com/slash picture this film reviews. On Instagram, we brought it back. We are at Picture This Reviews on Instagram. You can find, as of right now, it's just some pictures of every old episode that we've ever done. But we're going to be posting there, as we continue to post new episodes here. That is all for now. Everyone have a great week. Be sure to tune in next time when we talk about another film. Everyone, love one another.
See you guys.